Hey, it's Katie, and welcome back to my booktube channel. It is day 5 of Bookmas, and that means I will be telling you guys about my most disappointing reads of 2020. So the first couple I'll tell you about are ones that I would still probably reread, even though I was a little disappointed by them, and then we'll work our way to the ones that I definitely would not reread and the ones that disappointed me the most. And I decided to wear my Grinch sweater because this video is a little bit grumpy and a different tone than some of my other videos. The first disappointing read I want to talk about is Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell and Faith Erin Hicks, and I've talked about this one before. It was still a very cute, festive adventure. The illustrations were still amazing. It was just not what I was expecting, so when I finished this novel, I was honestly kind of disappointed with what took place in it. But because it's still super cute and now I know what to expect, this is something I think I'd probably reread next year before Halloween. My next one is Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas, and this might be a little controversial, but it was just slightly disappointing because it's about this assassin and you think it's going to be super action-packed, and there are some action scenes, which is great, but there's also a much larger focus on a love triangle than I was expecting, and she kind of fell into these romances a lot quicker than I feel like an assassin would, so that was kind of disappointing for me, and I think I only gave this one 3 stars, so I was expecting to love this because so many people love this series, and I don't know, I just definitely left this feeling disappointed, but it was still good enough that I plan to probably reread this before I continue on with the rest of the series. After that, we have Not the Girl You Marry by Andy J. Christopher, and this one I had really high hopes for going into it because it had a wedding planner, I think, or just an event planner on one side and a writer on the other, and it was like a fake relationship type situation, which I usually love. And I was really excited to pick this one up. There's even a little dog on the cover. But I remember being disappointed in it because there's something about the writing style and the word choices I couldn't connect with. I remember some of the wording to be a tiny bit cringy, so I didn't really enjoy that. But there was still good banter in it, so it wasn't my most disappointing read, but it definitely didn't meet my expectations. Next, we have Save the Date by Morgan Matson, and again, I had some pretty high hopes for this one because it was surrounding a wedding, and I think because I want to be an event planner and also I'm looking forward to a wedding, I always have high hopes for those books, which is probably why there's a couple on this list that involve that are disappointing. I have too high of expectations. But anyway, this one seemed really cute because there's a little comic strip in there, and I don't know, that just seemed like a really cool concept. But then reading it, I felt like it was super easy for me to put down, which usually is a sign that I'm not too into the book. And honestly, I felt like not too much really happened, at least from my memory. And just seeing it on my shelf throughout these months, I just have a negative feeling toward it. So there's nothing specific I can think of that made me really dislike this book. I just really had to kind of force myself to finish it, and even now I have no urge to ever reread it again probably, so that's why I consider it one of my most disappointing reads of the year. Now we are on to my top 3 most disappointing reads of 2020, and number 3 is This Is What Happy Looks Like by Jennifer E. Smith. And again, this had a super cool concept. It was a small town girl and this movie star, I think, and they accidentally start talking through emails, and he ends up in her small town, and she doesn't really know that he's there, but it's about their relationship in that point of view. And it sounded really cute, but reading it, I just really felt like there was something lacking in their relationship. I don't know what it was. I just didn't, not that I didn't find myself rooting for them, I just didn't really feel like there was that much chemistry between them. I don't know. There was just definitely something missing that I feel like I find in most other relationships in my books. So since that was the main element of this book, there was really nothing in this for me. Number 2, we have Love Unscripted by Owen Nichols. And this one is filled with a bunch of movie references, which is kind of a cool element for most people, but I really did not understand any of them. And I felt like some of them were kind of thrown in there when they weren't necessary. So it's kind of started to annoy me a little bit. And also it jumps between present day when the main character and like the love interest aren't together anymore, and the past when they first met during an election. And I think it was like the 2008 election, something like that. It doesn't really matter. But it was hard for me to root for this relationship that he wanted to like, he wanted to get back together with this love interest. But it was really hard for me to root for them because they weren't together in present day and they were just getting to know each other in the past. So I didn't really have anything to go on, and I didn't really see as much chemistry as I feel like I should have been seeing. And also I read this during the 2020 election, so I think because this involved an election, it was just extra stress while I was waiting for results to come in. So that probably did not help the situation. So my number one most disappointing read of 2020 was The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory. And I just feel really bad bashing this book. I feel like I've talked about it before. But again, this I thought was going to be super great. It's these two people that bump into each other in this elevator. The power goes out. They get stuck there together. And he asks her to be his like fake girlfriend and his date to this wedding. And usually that's like the perfect setup for a story for me. But their relationship after that point, I feel like just ended up being focused around sex. And I understand it's like an adult romance, so that obviously happens in adult romance books. But it just felt like that was their whole relationship, and it just kept happening. It was kind of excessive to me, and it just really started to annoy me, so I couldn't even focus on the good parts of the relationship. I don't know, that's the only thing I remember when I look at this book is how many times they had sex, and that's just not what I want to think about when I think about books. So I don't know, for some reason it just makes me really upset when I look at it, which is not what you want when you have books. That's just not the vibe you want. So definitely the most disappointing read of 2020 for me. Sorry. Those are my top 7 most disappointing reads of 2020. Sorry if you guys love any of those books, but that's just my opinion and the way I feel about them. Doesn't mean you guys can't love them. My next Bookmas video is my most surprising reads of 2020, so that's a more positive spin on it to kind of end our week. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell so you know when I upload next. Thank you guys so much for watching. I can't wait to see you in my next video.